Welcome back to The View with Vertex, the scaffolding industry podcast. We are joined today by AK Scaffolding's Managing Director, Aaron King. Please like, subscribe and follow for more content. Right, so here we are.
Yes.
Thanks very much for coming on.
No problem.
I genuinely mean that, by the way, because I've told you, I'll give you a bit of a brief about what we might talk about, and it's like two things really. It's not easy to, I suppose, relive some things, I guess. And, you know, there's an element of professional sort of jeopardy to some of them. Like you're talking about things that, you know, you could, you know,
If a door slams in my face for this reason, then I was not supposed to be in that door in the first place.
I agree. I do. And I think, you know, I think there's a lot of the time you can maybe put stuff out on social media that isn't really a true reflection of yourself. I don't think you do that, by the way. I think maybe I've been a bit guilty at times. And, you know, if people are sort of warming to a vanilla, watered down version of who you are, then they're probably not meant to be in your circle anyway. If they can't tolerate you at your kind of worst or whatever, then, you know.
And they're dead easy to share them funny clips. And I fell into that trap a couple of times, but yeah.
So, I can say thanks for coming on. And there's probably some bits that I'm going to ask, and I don't even really know the answers to be honest, because, you know, we've known each other for fucking how many years now?
God, at least coming on for 25.
It's got to be thereabouts, hasn't it? You know what I mean? It's since I've been in scaffolding, I've known you, so that's a long time. But there's probably stuff I'm going to ask that I don't really know because I've, you know, never really asked or thought to ask. We just kind of, we've all come from a similar environment, haven't we? We all, I mean, you were Middleton, wasn't it? It was like the Downs.
Yeah, Middleton. Well, I lived in the other bit, but yeah, that's where I hung about.
Yeah, and I'm Moston, so, you know, just down the road. And we're all kind of, if you get into scaffolding, typically you're from a certain kind of environment, you know, maybe not.
Tough skin.
Yeah, and not really interested in school, probably, you know, that maybe not for you.
Yeah, well, after I left school, it was money I wanted, and the plan was I wanted to go to the Marines, but I started being naughty, and then one thing led to another, and I realised I could make money in scaffolding, right? So I was doing that as well, but then it weren't enough. So other bits come along with it.
Because Tom went into the Marines, didn't he, Tom Frater?
Well, he did that after he became advanced, you know what I mean? So he got all his tickets out of the way and went back, and then he was getting his head shot at for less money. And he still come back in advanced scaffolding, you know what I mean? So
you all had your advance really early as well.
Yeah, I think they slowed it down after that because they realised they had a load of young lads who shouldn't have a gold card running about, trumping everyone's card when they don't know their arse from the elbow. I was in that crowd. Yeah.
But that was for me, that was the attraction of coming to Wintersurf at the time. It was like, if you come here, you'll get your cards. Yeah. And that's not to say it wasn't the case where I was at Allied, but Allied had the sort of more of the old school approach of where, like, you went on your part one when you were ready for your part one. You went on your part two when you were ready for your part two. It wasn't a case of like, well, you're on like an apprenticeship or something and your part two's happening on this date, whether you're ready for it or not. Yeah. The conveyor belt approach, it was, I suppose you had to earn it to a degree. Whereas Interserve, rightly or wrongly.
Well, I think it's wrongly because they're changing now, because we was a sort of, either ours or maybe Ford's like class was the last ones at the rush route, and they have stopped doing it so fast because we were an advanced scaffolder after 5 years. So from starting scaffolding in 2000, I had a gold card at 2005. Yeah, I had the card. I went on advanced scaffolder. You know,
yeah. I mean, I do get it, and probably if I cast my mind back, even though, you know, my route was slightly different, I don't think when I got that part two card, I was ready to be a part two scaffolder.
You're probably looking back like that, but yeah, you've got to have it for you to be able to do it. Because otherwise, what are they going to say? You're not allowed over the first lift and stuff like that. Yeah. Depending on what company you're at. Like, unless you've got your card, you can't go on the scaffold. But how are you going to learn it if you don't go up there? Yeah. And a lot of people don't like people getting up, but I'm the opposite. I like seeing who wants to get up, and that will be the people I push. Or, no, you don't need pushing. That's the people who want to do it. You know what I mean? The ones that want to stay on the ground past a year will stay there.
Yeah, but otherwise, you know, I mean, there has to be an element of that, don't there? Like, you know, seeing how people perform. Unfortunately, we live in a world these days where, you know, you're paid by what that card says, and like, you know, like you say, some of them are part 1.5, some part nons, or
Part nons. I've got part nons that are 10 times better than a lot of my gold cards, and that is a fact.
yeah. But I mean, it's an interesting one. So, like, taking it kind of all the way back to those early days, starting out in scaffolding. I'm guessing you sort of finished school. Good or bad experience with school?
Yeah, it was all right. I did well at school, to be honest with you. I was just like I was one of the boys, and then I was because my birthday's August. I was one of the, so I actually left at 15. So I couldn't even start scaffolding. And so old Baxter got like Scott, Tom, and like a few of the others in. But I weren't even 16 yet, so I couldn't start. So I was like 2 months behind them. But then I managed to get in the same class as them. And then yeah,
it was the same with Frankie, by the way. He was 16 when he started. Exact same company, all the rest of it. But he was on like the wages when you were 16 and 15. Like,
I remember what I started on. It was £18 a day on the Printworks, and if you did an hour or 2 hours overtime, you got another 20 quid. So you got more for the overtime than you did for the actual shift. Yeah. But yeah, I can't blame that for like wanting to do other bits. But
so I was going to ask.
Helped.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, you know, because when you first start, you're on like apprentice money or whatever. You know, there's not a lot of money in it. Let's have it right at the very start. Yeah. And I was the same. Do you know what I mean? I was only speaking to Aaron Maguire. You know, I don't think it was part of the conversation that we recorded, but you know, I had my brushes with the law, and you know, I'm quite open about that. And a lot of it was to do with, you know, you didn't have a lot of money, and you wanted to get into a job, but the job wasn't paying a lot of money, and everyone who you saw succeeding in the local area, you know, I didn't know anyone in the local area who was driving around in the cars that I wanted to drive that was a fucking health and safety consultant. Do you know what I mean? They were, you know, wrong ones, do you know what I mean? And you kind of see those people in around you, and you think, well, I want a piece of that.
Yeah. Because obviously, like, you got Phil's older brother, Steve, and he's always done well, you know what I mean? He's like, you can tell, like, he's always got what he wants, and he don't do anything bad. But like, we were and I realised you can earn a living in scaffolding. It's going to be a few years yet, you know what I mean? So you start doing things and selling things and taking things that you're not supposed to, and one thing leads to another, and then you end up where you're going to end up.
I mean, there's always an escalation, isn't there?
Yes, there's an escalation. But then you either get to a stage where you're that guy and you're going to carry on being that guy, or you're that guy who just dips in and out because they're just muppets and they'll just get everything took off them. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you're that guy and follow up through it, and then you're in it. You know what I mean? Your balls deep into it. You're indoor every week, and then you've got a graft again. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, I think that is definitely part of it. Yeah. I think a lot of people get addicted to the lifestyle, and you get caught in the trap of where a lot of people refer to it as like credit. It's almost like being on a credit card, because you're caught for something, and then, you know, you've got to pay that off, and you know, all the while there's money coming in, and you can buy the nice t-shirts and the nice clothes and go out to the nice parties and buy the nice bottle of vodka or whatever. But it's always on the never, you know. Yeah. So you do once you're in and you've decided that you've made that decision that you're in, very, very difficult to get out of it.
It is, yeah. And so what I do now, because I work with the ex-offenders, when they leave, and I know there's a certain amount I can charge people for these people, and they all know my business plan, and it is I'll charge the same for everyone. You are going to get cheap scaffolder, but the labour is going to be there, and it's the same rate. Again, so I build one rate. So if I've just got 3 scaffolders on the site, I'll probably lose money. Right. So then there's a, say I want to earn £2 per man in the gang. I'll only earn 1 or maybe even none of the scaffolders, and then that'll come off the labourer. But they all know, like, that goes back into a pot, and I pay for the courses. Do you know what I mean? And I've never, like, people say, and I get messages all the time, anonymous ones and things. They think that they're either getting funded by the government or say Simeon or someone will give me discount. I can tell you now, I have not had one discount for anything, and I think it's disgusting, to be honest with you, because they all know I don't need to do it, and I'm doing it for thinking. But like, it's just, who do you ask? You know what I mean? It's just a door slammed in your face. Like, they'd rather have 2 empty seats than just give me one of them seats for half price. Get this person, stop him from going back out grafting, and then let's getting excited about where he can be, where he could be, should I say?
I think that's a great point. You know, I really do, because I know there's, you know, you see NASC, there's, you know, a lot of campaigns to get people from the prisons, you know, back into society, back into work, and get them into scaffolding. I know that you know, Fulcrum, for example, have run, you know, the courses in the prisons to get people back out, and they are working. Do you know what I mean? They are getting people back into work. They've been, you know, a success. But at the same time, I do feel like some of what you see out there, some of the people who are associating with it are trying to associate with it to give the halo a bit of a shine, rather than to actually make a difference. Without saying, you know, naming any name, there are people out there that try to get involved in these things.
Show where they are, you know what I mean? Show where they are. After all that, you know where they are, they're working for me. And then when I go back to people saying, is there any help or thing, they say, the only way you can do it is just get them back on the dole for 12 weeks, and we might be able to get them a restart fund, you know what I mean? So I'm going, what, so they've got to not work?
As in like pre-employment training?
Yes, so they've got to be basically signed on for 12 weeks before they qualify for anything. So even though like I'm paying them, like, so I'm thinking, so I can either sack them and then they can get this course, like, or I can just put like, and then I just think, right, there's got to be a way. I'm still looking for that way, but
it's an interesting one, because like, depending on what your company's like classed as, it's a labour company, innit? So like, I wouldn't imagine that, I wouldn't have thought that you'd be eligible for CITB grants.
Well, you'd have to pay the levy, and the levy's 5%, and that's my full earnings. Do you know what I mean? 5% of your
Is it not 0.5% of your wage bill? It used to be, or something.
It's 5% either way. What I make is less than 5%, so I'll go above my, you know what I mean? So that 5% is everything.
Because this is the point I'm trying to make. And
I'm still within that 5%, and I'm still paying for more courses than people. And the levy, they've stopped the funding now, haven't they?
That's for
the CITB.
That's for the employer network. So they pulled it back. They said we're still going to spend it again next year, but we're not spending anything up until, was it 6th of April, whatever, until the new year. Again, I just think it's a load of, for me, it's a load of bollocks, because apparently they sat on, I think it's something like a £75 million cash position, right? They said, well, yeah, we can't fund it. And I get it, like, an organisation the size of CITB has got a lot of mouths to feed. There's a lot of people working at CITB. And I guess that you do have to have a bit of a balance, you know, in case something goes wrong. You have to have a pot, but 75 million. And they said that they can only go down to 50. They have to have at least 50 in reserve, like Cesar. There's nothing legal, or
I suppose with pensions or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hearsay about it, but yeah, I think they could be doing more.
Yeah, and obviously I'm like, because they're all self-employed anyway, and there is a risk, and it's happened a few times where I paid for the Cotswold Part 1s, and they've just left. But like, worst case scenario, I'd say, like, if it's been a few months, then I'll just let them go. They've left on good terms, yeah, they're gone. But if they just get the card in a bit, I'll just say, do realise I've got your last wage, you know, for your weekend. Run as far as you want, you know what I mean? But yeah, but that's not really happened to many. All my men are loyal, because when they come out, like, what I can do, I could pay them a shit wage, or I could pay them that good that they're petrified to lose the job, and that is what I do. And I expect that amount of work out of them, and I get it, and it works. And people know to come to me if there's a big scaffold that needs coming down or going up. They come to me, right? And you can say, oh, but they're going to be in every day, because they know I'll sack them. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a case of first chance, second chance, because like, there's people that have got a load of chances and got shit going on at home, and you get a lot of this with the prison people. And prison's not a nice place, and it changes forever, and it causes murder at home, it causes stuff with girlfriend, exes, money, and stuff like that. And everyone's got their own shit going on. So, but it's for people that are taking the piss, you know what I mean? Like, there you've got to go.
Well, they say that nothing drives a good employee away more than watching you tolerate a bad one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And if you kind of if you've got people that aren't on the line or are literally, you know, taking a piss, and the good lads who are doing it every day, turning in and towing the line, are on exactly the same deal, you're like, well, where's the incentive? So it's difficult. It's part of management, isn't it?
There's a group chat for every site, every company I've got, and there are mates. There'll always be one of my mates on the job, or there'll be a charge hand who gets more money, and they're there to look after the job. It won't be a lot more money, but you're in charge. You know what I mean? Like, tell me if something's going wrong, and then I'll be turning up. When I turn up on site, it's like when Steve Harvey used to turn up with.
Everyone's scurrying. Yeah. You know, hey, you know, you've made it to like a supervisor or a manager when your first name gets dropped. Like, you know, like he was just Harper. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Paul Linney, if he's about there still, but he was just Linney. Do you know what I mean?
Some guy asked me the other day if I know where Aaron King is from Scaffchamp, and I went, no, why? And he went, I've heard he's a bit of a dick. He went, I've heard that as well. And I went, well, like, and then my mate was stood there, he went, you do realise that's Aaron King, you know? So he's name dropping without even knowing who he is, who I am. Because obviously the Scaffchamp thing is, people are watching it and stuff like that, but they're not taking it in. It's obviously not me.
How's that changed the business, do you think?
Well, I'll be lying if I said I'm earning a lot more money and all that stuff. Getting a lot more people interested in talking to me and working with me and stuff like that. It's normally them wanting something from me, you know what I mean? But what's more important, money now or connections forever, you know what I mean? Friendships, connections, partners, sponsors,
Because I do get asked this a lot, you know, when people say, well, why would you want to go there? And I'm like, well, you know, it can open doors for you.
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap. You know, as well as you're putting a team on, I guess it's very expensive.
If you think Scaffchamp's expensive, Vegas, that just absolutely dwarfed everything, you know what I mean? Just the flights was 12.5 grand. Do you know what I mean? Right. And then it's Vegas.
So what happens in Vegas?
And then I was expecting a lot more from that, but it's come back and there's a bit of a lull in work. There just is. At the minute, everyone says there's a labour shortage. It's bollocks. There's no work out there at the minute. Something to do with the permits and stuff like that. Things not started, things getting pushed back. Yeah. But there's a lull. There's a...
Oh, yeah. There's that. But like, if you think about, working, taking on contracts where you're going to have to employ people, employers' national insurance has gone up. So like, and then even business owners are feeling the pinch, you know what I mean? Like, corporation tax has gone up to 25%. Dividend tax has gone up, you know, the lowest band of dividend tax has gone up to 10.5% from, I think, was it 8.75%? So everyone's getting squeezed and it just disincentivizes people to want to work. Yeah. Oh, but we're not working people, you see, because we're one businesses, we're not working people.
Oh, reckon?
The people who work for us are working people, and they should have a better standard of living than us when we're the ones taking all the risk. And people, I feel like in this country, people that almost look at anyone who owns a business as being like fucking Lord Sugar, do you know what I mean? Or, you know, Richard Branson. It's like, no, we're working ridiculously long hours, often, you know, to make sure that other people get paid before we do. It's...
Now I've got goals off at 5 in the morning. I'm lucky if I get home for 8 at night. I'm lucky. And that's reality. Kids goodbye to your life. Say hello to your bird every now and then, and the kids can wait till, after this I've got to go swimming.
It never stops, does it?
No. I think it's important to keep driving it. No matter how many, I get more knocks back than a lot of people, and you've got to have tough skin for it, because I'm at their mercy, these other company owners, because if they don't want lads, that's it. I've got to move on. I've got to go to somebody else, and you can't slag anybody off to anybody. You know what I mean? They're all mates. Everyone knows. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they might slag you off, or they might slag the business model off, or someone might have not turned in, or whatever. You know what I mean? And then my name just gets dragged through it all. You know what I mean? Like no matter what, they've asked for a couple of lads, or for
so always rest with you. The lads don't.
Yeah. They don't see them as the lads. You know what I mean? They just say it's the 2 lads that was it. And it's your fault it didn't happen, or it's your fault this didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, I was getting blamed last week. I was in Turkey, had my head on. How's this my fault? Your lads. not my kids.
Yeah. I want to say you can't have eyes in the back of your head, but like,
No, but
it
like-
always.
Yeah, but sometimes they let it slide all week, and rather than say Monday, Tuesday, like these are taking the piss, swap them all, phone them, and I will. You know what I mean? And it will change, or the lads will change. They'll wait till Friday comes, and then they'll start arguing about timesheets and invoices and stuff like that. I go, you should have told me earlier. Oh, well, your lads, you should be keeping in tap. Like, I can have 20 sites running at once, you know what I mean? How can I be out at them all?
Yeah. It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And all you got to do is trust that lad's doing it. Trust that you're going to get the feedback from the client, and they don't wait until they're getting riled a bit more. And then they're angry as fuck by the end of the week. Do you know what I mean? Luckily, it doesn't happen a lot. I've got a good set of lads, but...
I mean, are they working under the supervision
Yeah,
a lot of the
so-
time of the scaffold company?
Yeah, unless... So, I've got a big one starting next week. I'm not going to say no names, but like, they want 40 men, and they just won't... They won't have that unless I'm there. Like, that'll be a part of the package, you know what I mean? They're just saying, because they know what will get done. They know they're not going to toss it off. They know they're not going to get away with it. And what they want done will happen. Do you know what I mean? So...
Well, surely that's the advantage over using like an agency.
Yeah, an agency with a scaffolder who's in charge. Nobody can lie to me about scaffolding. Do you know what I mean? Like, not one of my lads can say, "Oh, it took longer than expected." I know that job. Do you know what I mean? And I'll turn up next week and do better than you.
So, I mean, there is a difference between like a labour-only company, and an agency. Do you know what I mean? Agencies are...
All these agencies, like, they'll never meet these people. Do you know what I mean? It's just like a big office with like, people who just say, "Yeah."
I mean, it probably goes back to what we were saying at the start about like, you know, it's just a card and you're getting paid for whatever card you've got in your hand. Whereas, you know these people, you know what the capabilities are.
Exactly. That's why I know who can work with who. I know he don't get on with him. I know he lives near him, so we can pick him up and he don't drive. And, you know what I mean? I just know all that. And I'll say, what is it? And then, because some people don't like system. Do you know what I mean? And some people, if it's an erect on the system, you know, we can't trust them to make it out, but they'll maul it down, you know what I mean? So there's all this that they won't know, you know what I mean? They'll just like send a couple of lads. And they'll, like, they might not know the system, or they might not know the lad, or they might have beef with the lad, or they've been there before and been sacked. Do you know what I mean? But these are all questions that I know. And there's things that you ask people on the phone to get the answers without asking the questions.
So it's definitely a selling point to labour-only versus...
There is, because like everyone knows everybody, you know what I mean? And like, before I say yes to anybody, I'm ringing, why have you been working for? What happened? Yeah. All right. And then I'll know somebody at that company. I'll say, is he a dickhead or what? That's it. Yeah, but he gets stuck in. I'll do it.
Claudia. See, what I wanted to speak to you about was about the, you know, the work in the prisons more specifically.
Right, okay.
Because like we said, we did, you know, you have taken a lot of them on, and they are getting training through you and all the rest of it. I wanted to ask, what about your experience with the whole prison system has made you, you know, want to get involved?
You see a lot of people in jail who've got no hope. You know what I mean?
Did you go to jail? Which?
I've been to 6 different jails, different points for different things. It's never anything bad or thing. It's all money, drugs and stuff like that. And a couple of drink driving and crashing cars and things like that when I'm daft when I was younger. But more mind money and stuff like that. So they call it white collar, blue collar crime. So I was getting Cat D for most of the time, and nice easy life in jail. But now I've got a massive pocket. I'm a Cat A prisoner. So they look at me like I've got the means to get broke out, like from an helicopter or something like that. But really, it's just in court, they had it all up, and you end up with a massive benefit figure over your head, and then that stays with me for life unless I pay it.
And is it something that's payable or no?
So you don't need to pay it as long as you don't get nicked for doing anything bad again. Then you need to pay it. They took everything off me, and like they took everything off from me twice. You know what I mean? So like that, but that benefit figure will stay with me. So if we catch you doing anything illegal again, we'll take whatever you got, whether it's legal or not. You know what I mean? They can take it then, or they can take it if you get what's it called, capital gains, win the lottery, or get a load of money left here. They can take it then as well.
How did you find your experience in the prisons?
Yeah, well, like I say, like I've been in the roughest jails, like, because now I'm Cat A, and I've been recalled a couple of times. I've got to go Strangeways, maximum security. That's where I go. But the prison life is as hard as you want to make it. If you go in and you're fuck about and you're going to be getting yourself into debt, and you're going to be taking drugs, you're going to come unstuck. They're like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to lend them things or you've got beef in there, it's coming for you. And that's it. Especially in them jails. But it's as hard as you make it. And why do I want to make jail hard, you know, I've like, at that point there, I've got kids coming to a fucking county jail, visiting me, crying after they leave. They're not allowed to hug me and all that shit. I'm like, I'm not coming back here. So
I mean, they are horrible places.
on the wings, I'll say, like, yeah, you got the levels, the ground floor, and then you got 2s, 3s, 4s. And then the second floor is called the 2s, and that's where all the cleaners live. It's clean as fuck. You get a big pad. You're out most of the time cleaning, and like they rung the wing, the 2s rung the wing, and that's it. And
So if you're on the lowers,
the screws are not even allowed on the floor. Like they are allowed at certain points. Do you know what I mean? But that's under them conditions that you're supposed to keep it in line. You know what I mean? So the people are all fucking about. They'll tell you.
You got to police it yourself.
Yeah, people need slapping. People need like, and this all comes from the screws. They run it, but like on the sort of agreement that you get left alone. People got phones in there and what have you, and they're running things from that floor. So the screws are not even allowed on the floor. Do you know what I mean? They'll get kids off.
And this is things that people don't really.
No, and the things that you see, and like, because I was on the hill, it's B wing. No, sorry, D wing. I wouldn't be then D wing. D wing is where, so someone's been fucking about orders and nonsense or something like that, or there's someone who's done something very bad, and it's a hit wing. They get sent to that wing to get done in because there's money on them. So then the money goes through the screws. And it's just how it is. And then yeah, if there's money on them, it's getting cashed in on D-wing in strange ways.
See, I think this is a world that a lot of people don't really think exists.
I think people get their eyes melted out. The face is all like melted with hot sugar, but their eyes as well, pouring into their eyes, stabbed every single fucking time you're out. Someone's getting stabbed or slashed every single time on that wing.
And if it's not that, it's people doing it to themselves as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So while I was in there, I was only in there 9 weeks, and there was 2 people who killed themselves. One about 2 pads up on the floor below. He got on the net the night before because someone paid him. Because like they was kicking off about something, so one of the dealers paid him to get on the net. No, to just fuck about the screws because they did something to him, or they took something from him. So he got on the net, and then he was getting passed about, and he weren't getting paid for what he was doing on the net. And then he ended up killing himself because he owed it out. He went on there not to pay a debt. To pay a debt. He didn't get it. He got hit again, and he killed himself. You know what I mean? Like he was that desperate. He threw himself onto the net just to pay a debt, and then because he got slung to another part of the wing, couldn't get paid, but the person who he owed money to could get to him still, and that's it. 2-3 days later, dead.
So I remember doing the training courses in the jails. I remember having this young kid, and he was a dead funny lad. You know what I mean? Dead, full of banter and everything. Telling me the story about how he got nicked, how he jumped out a window, broke his legs and stuff like that. But he was making fun, like, telling it like a funny story, and I suppose like in a weird way, it was quite a funny story. But he just seemed like a really sort of good banter and that top lad. And he mentioned something just in passing, just a passing statement about if he didn't get something or other, and he said, well, if he tried to throw me myself, I'll just tell him I'll do myself, and I'll cut myself or something like that. And I was thinking, like, he was just saying it like he'd do it as leverage to not get put back in his pad or whatever.
People do it.
And then I looked at his arm, and this guy was just like not like me, you talking now. He completely cut the ribbons all the way up and down.
Yeah, this one. I mean, these people have got, especially people who've been doing it a long time, and it's mostly people with trauma from they've either been brought through the childcare system or like I don't know, but these people have got real problems. You know what I mean? And I've seen it, and I've seen people getting out, no hope, like yeah, that's it. Right, can we go to fucking? It could be just as simple as can we go bowling next week? And when he's got to say no, and he knows he can just slide back into life, you know what I mean? It's too easy. Or I'll just do it for a month, get myself on my feet, and then blah blah blah, and then he's back in the game, and it's just so if you can offer us something that's decent, that they're not even going to need to or want to do that. And then it's a life that and a wage that they can actually survive on. With someone with kids and stuff like that. And you know how dear houses are and bills and stuff now. So what would they do? Pay them less, and then they're struggling every week, and then you know they're struggling, and they're coming to work and they're trying their best. Or you pay them, but like, because people say, why are you paying them that much? They've not got this card, they've not got that card. I go, hang on, he's in every day, he's going to graft, and like, and that's what drives them. And you see it in them, you see it in them, or it's not. You know the floaters and the ones that are going to stay. And I've got people who've been with us years. You know what I mean? And they're loyal. Three of them got tattoos, AK Scaffolding on themselves. Three of my workers got AK Scaffolding tattooed on themselves.
That's mental.
Is it mental?
I mean,
like, I don't know. Can't use that as a measure of stick to say they're loyal, but trust me, they're loyal. I could get a call now, and I could get 5 lads to go to Scotland on basic rate, and I could, because they would do it. You know, I've said you've got to.
Because because they know they'll get looked after a later date, or
yeah, like, and it's even if I can't promise you nothing now, believe me, and they've done it for me, and they get looked after, and like it's time to lay everyone off. Like you won't be one of them. Chances are, you know what I mean? If you say no, I'm not doing that, or I want more money, or that, I'm not the guy giving out the money. It's just hours. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
All I can do is book in hours. That's it. Yeah. And if they say you can get more hours,
So it's essentially you're just a conduit. It's coming through you.
yeah, that's
Whatever's in the jobs for everyone.
yeah, yeah. And like, so say they're going to give someone some 2 more hours, 5 more hours, 10 more hours, and they're getting that. You know what I mean?
So they know it's coming back.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know, I will be as loyal to them as they are to me, and that's it.
So, Scaffchamp. What's going to be different this year?
Would like a podium.
As in, you want to finish first, second, or third?
Yeah. Yeah. We went in last year. You said it to me. You went, it's never going to be close. We went, nah, right. Right. And I thought, hang on, right. So none of us do layer. We've gone over there. We're proper scaffolders. Do you know what I mean? And like, we've done layer a handful of times. We've stripped a couple of jobs. How hard can it be? But yeah, turns out you can be very techy, and everything. I don't know, and it gets to you. It's a big event, and it's all eyes on you and stuff like that, and it's important to everyone as well. But we should have went back and thinking it is important to us all. Why are we not doing more training? Why are we not? We just thought, oh, we'll smash this.
Yeah, I just think
we've got a decent set of scaffolders. We'll smash this, but like you said, it's not even going to be close. But this year, so then obviously the lads that have changed the team a little bit. So it's got more layer lads in it who are doing layer all the time. And then when the layer job, say Wardy's normally a stupid thing, any layer job comes up, make sure he goes, you know what I mean? Like he loves it anyway. And then because layer sponsor us now, they let us train. We're there. They say come in whenever you want. So obviously, like training is a bit null and void. If you've not got the drawing, you're training for something else. But it's not that. It's working together. Who's there? Who's doing what? For do you know what I mean? Like but until you get the drawing, you can.
Yeah, that's it.
You can put the wrong job up 20 times, and you're still not going to be that
Not
one. Is it?
necessarily going to put you. Well, I think it's more the parts in it. It's more like if there's a Twix beam in it, and you've never used a Twix beam before, then you could have put as many towers, independents, bird cages, cantilevers up as you like. You've still not built that specific job. And they do have a tendency to showcase some of the more, as you say, techie things.
Or new things.
Or new innovations, because, you know, they are market leaders in that sort of. So I get why they do it. But, yeah, I think
it's a good way of revealing their new products, isn't it? Like, or new component. Whack it in there.
But how to practice for that is.
Well, you can't do it. But we went to the Las Vegas one. That's sponsored by Leo as well. They give you the load list. Right, so that's what we thought. We can work out what it is just off the load list. It's going to be 2,000 with the beams. Well, it's got to be that. It's got to be that. Hang on. What about if that's not a bridge? What about if it's a cantilever? And like we just ended up doing 3 jobs and going, was that anywhere near? You know what I mean? But like, turns out it wasn't that far off. Like, you know, what we built and guessed. Like it said a couple of components. He didn't tell you what there was. the hanging things off this rolling bracket that goes on the Twix beam, and then there's a hanging standard that goes on it. And they were the things that they didn't tell us about. So that was like a drop lift off the job. That was on that weren't on the list, you know what I mean? So you couldn't even train for that anyway. Well, we couldn't train for that.
Well, that's it. And in different parts of the world use different pieces of the kit. So if you're more familiar with it, then you know it's going to give you, or it's going to give them a little bit of an advantage. But what I said, just to recap on it, when you first went over, and I said it's not even going to be fucking close. And I wasn't saying that to be
right,
to be a twat or anything. I was saying it just as a reality check. Is like these guys live, breathe, eat, drink. They think system scaffolding, and we're, you know, I think there's this misconception in the UK sometimes that because we're good at tubing fitting, and because tubing fitting is, by definition, it's more difficult to learn because you're connecting every single part together separately, and you know you can make whatever you want, and you can get around anything that you want using certain sets of ideas and principles and all the rest of it. Whereas with modular scaffolding, it's everything goes where it goes. So there's this sort of idea that because we know how to do the harder thing, when we have to do the easy thing, but I think surely we've got to be better. It's like, but that by the same thing, it's like saying, well, Usain Bolt can run 100-meter sprint, right? So surely because he's so quick at running the 100-meter sprint, you should piss all over Mo Farah at the long distance stuff. It's like they're two completely different disciplines, and just because you're good at one doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be good at the other. And I think there was maybe a little bit of a. I knew there was going to be a reality check.
Yeah,
I knew, but you fucking. By the way, you surprised me. Yeah, I think you did a brilliant job.
Because we was ahead, because that thing what we did when we was floating the beam, we looked round and we was ahead of, maybe 15, 20 minutes ahead of everybody, and just their experience that just went in front of us, you know what I mean? Like where we was a little bit slower, standing things up, sliding and stuff like that. It just, all them things just added up, and then the approach was where there was level, and then things just weren't going in and stuff like that, and they just went like ahead of us. But
well, that's what they're saying. It's slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. You know, sometimes you do have to slow it,
and then it does get to you, like the what do they call it? The nerves. It gets to you. I don't think.
I can only imagine. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think it would, but yeah, it gets to you. But now we're training as much as we can. We've been to.
It's not your first time at the rodeo as well. You've been under the lights before, as it was.
It's a Las Vegas one. Like with a point, without that points deduction, we were second. Yeah, our time had to come second. So we went over there.
So there's progression.
We come like no. I don't think anybody's ever. Well, I think J-Mac went over and they come last.
I didn't know that.
Yes, sir. So the only other team to ever come is little old Aaron, went to Vegas, the second team ever to do it, and we come technically second, but after our points got deducted, fourth.
These are the things that happen though, because I actually think when Rose went over in 2024, I actually think they should have got a podium spot. I think there was.
You're talking about Scaffchamp now.
I'm sorry, yeah, but I think there were things that was happening on the dismantle that other teams were doing. We told them they had to build to, like, essentially to SG4, and then on the dismantle, everyone threw it out the window, whereas Rose didn't, and I think that maybe cost them. And they were actually level on points with the team that finished above them somehow. So there was a bit of contention there, or it's slightly contention.
Well, I spoke to the guy from Star, and he said we got that many eyes on us. I can't afford to lose a contract with not using steps and X, Y, Z. And he said, I'd rather just.
Charlie's got a brilliant company there, by the way. They all have. I mean, the three companies that entered that year, Connect, Rose, and Star.
I've spoke to them all good people, and they all wish us the best, and they all cheer us on, which is what.
How long may it continue?
I hope everyone does this year.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm right behind you, mate. I'll be singing your praises, and I've already received my shirt from the Vegas competition. I'm probably going to get that. Yeah. Hopefully in shot, the light's not bouncing off it, but
yeah, that shows our appreciation for, because this all started because you. Let's face it, it did. You was the person to put me forward for it, and then to give me a bit of faith that we could do all right. And I was thinking, is it worth it? Is it worth it? But even if it's not worth it in pounds, shillings and pence, what's coming from it now and what I can do, and like people would listen to me now, you know what I mean? Nobody knows what. I've got the biggest people in the game talking to me on LinkedIn and stuff like that. And yeah, and most companies and all around the Northwest, I've got him to thank. Then they're all flying the NAF flag around, but it's him who does it. It's him who's everyone who's got these podcasts now. It's all started from him. Like, no one cared about this sort of stuff. Go back 2 years. I was laughing at you when you said come on the podcast. I went, what are we going to talk about?
And here we are.
Look at me now, hook, line, and sinker, or whatever it's called. But like,
I think it just shows you. It shows you if you want to do something, don't wait for permission. You know. And I'd like to think that other things that have happened since, I've played my part, and they've seen it's given them a bit of mental permission to do stuff. But I'd always pay my dues and respects to people who were there and done things before me. There was podcasts before mine. They just weren't videoed. Paul Caulfield had one with Phil Smith. I'll always give them their flowers. But it's nice, when other people do the same back. So I do appreciate it. It's not lost on me.
But like, there's so much other things that you do behind the scenes, and like your name doesn't get pushed through enough. Like when you started this podcast, I don't see as much of it now. I don't know if you're too busy or you've had too many kids, or like,
so it's both of them.
Or you're just letting other people start their thing. But like, I'm thinking, where the hell is it coming? You know what I mean? But yeah, don't get me wrong, I watch them all. I like them all. Like, and I know them all as well. All these people doing them. But
well, you have my promise, mate. I will carry on. I'm back. I'm doing my thing, and I hope that you carry on doing the same, brother. Thanks. Take it easy, man.
Sweet.
And that's a wrap. I truly hope you enjoy this episode. If you do, all I ask is that you like, subscribe, and get notified every time we drop a new episode.